Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League. Today we're at Circuit des Nevers Magny Course, the French Grand Prix Round 9, Season 9 of the Premier Open Wheel Racers. As always, I'm your host, James Eastbury. The action, 1080p, 60 frames a second, as it looks like qualifying has wrapped up, and we are ready to get this show on the road, starting on pole. Ray Aguilar sneaking something off at the end there. Jaden Calloway, the defending champ, starting second. Antonio Bianchi starting third. Nick Beaver starting fourth. AJ Brenner starts fifth. Shazi Zuhair starting sixth. Nick Peterson starts seventh. We've got Leo Delmas starting eighth. Ryan Tebow starting ninth. Michael Fairchild starts 10th. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Aussie, starting 11th. Jacob Bramley will be starting 12th here today. Cycling on back, Willie Morris starting 13th. Julian Medor starts 14th. Jace Meyer starting 15th. Jay Small starting 16th. Arturo Mayorga starting 17th. Julia Cervone starting 18th. Felipe Ramos starting 19th. And Adam Plunkett will round out the 20-car grid here today. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as we've got the live chat going here on the YouTube side of the broadcast. As we wait for a few more drivers to take the grid here, and then we'll get the lights on and off to signal the start. Now we're starting tonight off with our sprint race. We'll have a brief intermission followed by the feature event here today. Now it's going to be a 15-lap sprint, a 30-lap feature. And we had some little side wagers going on with the drivers before the broadcast fired up tonight. Right now, the guesses are going to be between 8 to 12 people finish either the sprint or the feature. The drivers were expecting a lot of shenanigans, especially the opening lap on cold tires, so it's going to be interesting to see how accurate that assessment is. Still waiting on Jacob Bramley, the number 6 machine, the only driver who has yet to take the grid. I don't think Bramley has any sort of penalty. I just checked, and no, he does not. Occasionally we'll have drivers that have to start from pit road, but it looks like he's going to get out on track in that number 6 machine. So the grid is set, and we are ready to get things going here. That's Aguilar and Callaway on the front row, both drivers in the championship hunt. And let's see, the start looks pretty good. Callaway rockets out though, taking over the race lead, but we've got something going on towards the back. It's going to be a little bit of carnage. I see Julian Medor, Jacob Bramley, Jace Meyer, Arturo Mayorga all off track. Ryan Tebow has to take a tow, so he's going to have to retire from this one early on. And it's a little bit hectic up there at the front. Nick Beaver with a huge send. And what just happened? Ray Aguilar finds himself off track. Jaden Callaway also involved. The two championship contenders. And it looks like Callaway got the worst end of it. Let's see what happened to Aguilar. He's second in line here, right behind Callaway. And Aguilar just completely misses the brake mark and tags the back of that number 1 machine. And no, the defending champ Callaway takes a tow back to pit road. He showed involved in a second crash. I wonder if he was damaged and just pulled over, I wonder. I don't see any damage, but that is going to be it. Callaway pulls off, and something has happened to Nick Beaver. Looks like Beaver and AJ Brenner involved together. Brenner takes a tow. So Beaver had worked his way all the way up to first in the number 87 machine, misses it on the brakes. Oh no, and Beaver just pulls right onto a hot track trying to get that car slowed down. So already we've had a lot of carnage here. Arturo Mayorga, AJ Brenner, Jaden Callaway, Ryan Tebow, Julian Medor forced into an early retirement. Who do we have out front? No other than Mr. Antonio Bianchi putting in the work. He's got a 2.5 seconds over Aguilar, his teammate who sits in second. Nick Peterson sitting in third. We've got Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, join us in the spectator area. Shame not to see him out on track, but always good having him a part of the show somehow, some way. And we've got more crash reports. This time it's Jacob Bramley and Adam Plunkett. Both drivers take a tow. We got to get another angle of that one. That was impressive. So it looks like Bramley, I think, just missed the mark, maybe a little bit of net code, and absolutely launches in to Adam Plunkett. Both drivers taking a tow. We have already gotten down to only 12 drivers out on track here in this sprinty race. So my wager, we were going to have 12 drivers left. I believe it was either Chase Small, Nick Peterson. They were betting more towards the 8 drivers remaining. So let's see who's going to be right on this one. Is it going to be the broadcaster versus the racers with the side pots? Julia Cervone, the number 18 machine. She is our hard charger. Up 9 positions, has worked that car up into 9th. Looks like just ahead, Michael Fairchild. No, it's going to be Willie Morris, Gareth McAllister having a battle for 7th. That's going to be the 6th spot gain for Morris in the 46 machine. You can see McAllister right behind. And it looks like Cervone joining this party as well. Now your race leader Bianchi checking out, 2.5 seconds up over the rest of the field here. And more carnage. Willie Morris and Felipe Ramos. I think those were 2 separate events, so let's check in on Morris first. So 2 separate crashes at the same time. We're focusing on Morris in the 46 machine. A little bit too much curbing, around he goes. And it looked like Ramos was crashing at that exact same moment, the 73, totally unrelated. He was just a little bit off the mark there, locks it up, and thankfully keeps it out of the gravel. Now, I got to report, Arturo Mayorga did return back out on track, number 55. He came down pit road under his own power, so that's the rule here at League Zero. If you take a tow, you are done and out of that race. But if you drive down pit road, maybe get a wing thrown back on, you are more than welcome to get back out on the circuit and try and salvage some points. Leo Delmas in a good points paying position. The number 21 machine has worked up 4 spots. He's about 1.2 seconds back from a possible podium. Bianchi clicking off laps up front, still 2.3 seconds up over the rest of the field. Looks like Shazi Zuhair starting to track down the Frenchman of Delmas. So we may have a battle for 4th coming up. Felipe Ramos in and out of his pit stall, so we've made it back to 14 drivers out on track here. Now I wonder, as the field's a little bit more separated, is that going to decrease the chances of carnage that we've already seen in the sprint? It looked like Zuhair almost missed the mark there as well. Yes, you could tell he was a little bit unsettled in the chicane. Big lockup there. That's going to give about a 1 second advantage to Delmas, who still sits in that 4th place spot. Jay Small finds himself with an off-track excursion. You can see Willie Morris closing up behind. Morris was having a great run here. Hopefully get the momentum built back up in the favor of the 46 machine. Oh, a big blink there from Morris. And followed by a lockup, so Morris is battling both the track and the internet connection, it looks like. Aguilar in second, clicks off the fastest lap of the race. Oh, and Julia Cervone finds herself parked in a precarious spot, pointing the wrong way. Oh, well done to Beaver, able to avoid that one. Let's see what happened to Cervone. Looks like it's going to be a solo car incident. A whole lot of curbing there, and it just multiplies. And then Cervone pitches it around. Also, another crash reported. Michael Fairchild's going to be involved in an incident. They're dropping like flies here at the French Grand Prix. And it seems to be mostly single incidents we're seeing. The hairpin getting Fairchild's car just a little bit unsettled. As we watch Felipe Ramos cutting through the gravel track. Luckily, it looks like clean air most of the way around here at the track. Now, things are starting to tighten up for 3rd. Bianchi still has about a 1.8 second gap over his teammate Aguilar. But Peterson, Delmas, and Zuhair separated by about 1.3 seconds. And yet another crash reported with Chase Small, who hops off the racing line rather quickly. You can see Nick Beaver making his way by. Here comes Julia Cervone, as Small finds himself falling back to the 12th place spot. Side by side, Small and Cervone. Small gains the spot right back. Now it's going to be tough to track down Beaver there, the number 87. I mean, Beaver qualified 4th, had worked his way up to 1st in this race before a solo incident put him at the back half of the field. Beaver, historically one of those drivers that gets faster and faster as the night progresses. So I'm going to be interested to see what can Beaver salvage out of this sprint race to try and get himself set up for a good finish in the feature. Here comes Shazi Zuhair within striking distance of Delmas. Bianchi clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 120 flat, a .027 to put a stamp on it. So Bianchi running very, very well. Zuhair looking for any opening he can find here against Delmas. And I think both of those drivers can see Peterson not too far ahead, about 3/4 of a second. So if Delmas and Zuhair don't spend too much time dicing it up, they might be able to track down Peterson and find themselves in a podium fight. There's AJ Brenner. If he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all as he joins us in the spectator area. Peterson gaining about a second advantage over this battle behind him. We go on board Shazi Zuhair. Wonder if Zuhair had a little bit of a bobble there. Delmas pulled it back to 3/4 of a second. Zuhair closes the gap on the brakes. Now another thing we heard from the drivers before this event was it's very difficult to make passes here at the French Grand Prix. Aguilar answers with his fastest lap of the race as he sits in second, still about a 1.5 back from teammate race leader Antonio Bianchi. Michael Fairchild coming down pit road, as well as Felipe Ramos. Adam Plunkett finds himself taking an alternative line in that number 40 machine, but not all is lost for Plunkett as he is up 5 positions gained so far here this evening. We got 2 battles out on track. We've got Leo Delmas starting to catch up to Nick Peterson in third, but right now on camera, Willie Morris, catching up to Small as Small goes off track. And can Morris lock in this 10th place spot? Looks like he's going to make that pass nice and clean here. So checking in on Peterson. Just barely out of frame. There we go. You can see the 2 drivers behind him, Leo Delmas and Shazi Zuhair, trying to close that gap. Both Bianchi and Aguilar up front. Both the first drivers into the 119s. Here comes Shazi Zuhair, has gotten it within 0.4 of a second of Delmas. Looks to be right about a half second now. And I also saw Willie Morris starting to mount a comeback charge here, has fought his way all the way back up to 9th. That's Nick Beaver right behind the number 87 machine. Beaver down 6 spots from where he qualified. Only 5 laps left for these drivers, and it has definitely been a race of attrition here tonight. A lot of curbing, a lot of solo incidents. As we watch Felipe Ramos again off track. Ramos having a rough go. Shazi Zuhair really closed the gap there to Delmas. But these drivers have to be mindful of the off tracks. Now during the sprint, that abbreviated race, they don't have to be as careful with the off tracks and avoiding a drive through, but during the feature, that can definitely add up very, very quickly. Also looks like Ray Aguilar starting to catch up to race leader Antonio Bianchi, so we could very well have a battle for the lead and a 3-car battle for that final podium spot forming at the same time. As we watch Zuhair gets a big run there against Leo Delmas. Very tough to find a place to put the nose though. Oh, it looked like a little bit of a mistake there, and here comes this end. Wheel to wheel, a little bit of contact there between Zuhair and Delmas. Very hard racing between the two. That is going to give about 9/10 to the favor of Nick Peterson. And Zuhair looks to have locked in that 4th place spot with just a few laps remaining. Does Zuhair have anything left in the back pocket to try and track down Peterson? Now, I'm very interested to see how this feature event's going to go here tonight as well. We've got 15 drivers of the 20 still out on track that weren't forced into an early retirement. So I wonder, is the feature event going to be a little bit cleaner or a little bit worse for these drivers? Now that was a beautiful pass that Zuhair made on Delmas the lap prior to capitalize on the mistake of the 21 machine. And it looks like Zuhair has already pulled a second over Delmas, who might have to settle for 5th. Barring any more problems up front. Speaking of up front, Bianchi. Again, the fastest lap of the race gets down to a 1:19.5. He is ripping in that number 17 machine. And it looks like a little bit of traffic on the horizon for Bianchi. That is going to be the number 55 machine, Arturo Mayorga. He's running 14th on the circuit. You can see Aguilar closing that gap, trying to track down his teammate. Aguilar on the push to pass here. And we've got another incident reported. It's McAllister, the world famous Aussie. It looks like it's going to be one of many solo car incidents. Yeah, and McAllister just pitches it on the brakes. Still the 3 closest drivers out on track, Peterson, Zuhair, and Delmas. I think Delmas had a little bit of a bobble because all 3 drivers were within a half second of each other, but the white flag will be out next time by for Antonio Bianchi. Wants to pick up this win here as McAllister has more issues. As we check in on McAllister, his teammate Aguilar closing the gap behind. Bianchi looking for his first win of the season here. He's got a half lap before the white flag. Now, is Aguilar going to press the issue? He's within 3/4 of a second. Every time we see Aguilar out on track, he is here to win. A half second separating the 2 teammates, first and second. This might be the best performance we have seen out of Bianchi, that number 17 machine, in quite a while. And we've also got a battle for 3rd cooking up. Peterson now has Zuhair 3/10 behind him. We've seen some big moves from Zuhair in the past. The white flag is out. 1 lap left to go in this sprint. You've got Bianchi versus Aguilar, 1st and 2nd. You've got Peterson and Zuhair, 3rd and 4th. Zuhair is hungry for a podium here. You can also see Leo Delmas trying to get back within striking distance. Zuhair trying to force a mistake out of Peterson. Zuhair hops out of line, pulls up along the outside of Peterson. Tries to get a little bit more corner speed carried up there, but doesn't quite get it. Peterson holds a 10th of an advantage. Less than a half lap left to go here. Oh, and there's a crash right in front. That was Julius Cervone. Luckily, the field was able to get through. Duhair just can't find an opening. We unfurl the checkered flag. And it's going to be Antonio Bianchi getting his first win of the season here. Aguilar will get second, and let's see what happens here. It's going to be a battle on the brakes. Duhair looks like he's going to sneak through and get the third place spot. Can Peterson fire back? Both drivers hopping the curb. And it's going to be Shazi Zuhair getting his first podium of the season. We're going to try and get these drivers up here to victory lane. We're waiting for these top three drivers to join us in the booth. We're waiting on Bianchi, Aguilar, and Shazi Zuhair. Looks like we've got Zuhair, so we'll be able to get everybody else up here in just a quick moment. So let's get this party started with Shazi Zuhair joining us in the number 10 machine. Shazi, it's been way too long, my friend.
I know, James. That was really fun, man. Great battle with Nick there at the end. He races clean all the time, so props to him as well to make us get through there clean.
And Shazi, I guess I need to correct myself, not too long. We had you up here with a third in the sprint last week, so seems like you're getting a little bit momentum going in these sprint races and then getting pretty close to the same result in the feature. So what's been the trick to success for you? If you're not involved in incidents, you've been super consistent this year.
Yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate that. I think the trick there is just laps, right? Just running laps for practice. Trying to understand the track better, like where to push, where not to push, and areas where the car is sensitive. So I think that's helped me quite a bit. And trying to get better starts in the feature race there. I seem to be losing a lot of positions in the start, so that's something I got to work on.
Well, Shazi, it's our first time at this track. I didn't even have the track until tonight's show. How are you thinking about it racing here at Magny Course? Are you happy with how the racing's turning up, or is it a fight for survival on the new course?
I'm the same way. I've never ran a lap on this course until Sunday night doing some laps. I really like the track. It's pretty fun. It's got some nice fast corners and slow corners. For me personally, I'm struggling a tiny bit with grip, just getting the power down on exit, but it's making for some good racing today. So hopefully in the feature race, we have some good racing as well.
Well, Shazi, always a pleasure having you up here, man. Before I let you go, get ready for the feature. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps put you on the podium here tonight?
Like always, for my wife and my cat, and then to my teammate as well. He's had a good result, I think, today. If not, he'll get a better result in the feature race. So those are the people I want to give a shout out to.
Awesome. Shazi, always a pleasure, and best of luck in the feature, man.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
That was Shazi Zuhair bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got Mr. Ray Aguilar. Seems to be a little bit of reverse in races past. We've seen you and Bianchi first and second quite a bit so far this season, but you got to be happy to have your teammate in the top spot for a change.
Yeah, he did awesome. He was cooking it. I was pushing. I had a little bit of damage, but I was pushing hard, and I couldn't catch him. Like, I couldn't get by him at all. It would have taken me another 3 laps probably to even do anything about it.
Now, you were one of those drivers that wasn't super happy coming into tonight with the track and claiming that the front end was pushing very badly. Did that kind of get better as the fuel load decreased for you?
No, not with the damage. I'm anxious to see how this does with in the longer format race here. But I got into some trouble in the beginning of the race, and I think I had wing damage ever since then. I'm looking at the replay now to see if I can see what happened, but it turns out that the tires on this car at this track for some reason are freezing cold. I almost spun it just in like the first little kink of just turning into turn 1 basically. Almost spun it there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Like I'm gonna have to cool it substantially. I saw Jaden went off a few times in the first lap. I went off a few times. We're gonna have to cool down on the first lap. It's really bad.
Now, you think that's going to be kind of the plan for some of those top 5 drivers in the feature is back it down a little bit, or does that kind of go out the window when you've got a fleet of cars right behind you?
Yeah, I think as long as everybody knows what's going on, maybe we can get everybody to cool off. But you know how it is. It's also the perfect time to try to take a position too. So, yeah, nuts. I feel bad. We kind of both pushed out wide into that hairpin. I didn't even see Jaden was out there until it was turned in, and then he was coming kind of from far out wide, and I just smacked him. So we're gonna see how this plays out in the feature. I'm sure it's gonna be hard to even get in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. Ray, before I let you go, get ready for this feature. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps put you and your teammate on the box here tonight?
My family, they always help out and make time for me to be able to do this. And my teammate, man, he did awesome. He actually soaked up the scraps that were left out there and turned it into a win. So I'm glad to see him do that.
Awesome, Ray. Always a pleasure, man. Best of luck in the feature, and hope to have you back up here.
Thanks, man.
That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. But who do we have in the top spot the first time this season? Welcome back, Antonio Bianchi.
Hell yeah, it's good to be here. I'm sick as hell, but I'm happy to be here.
I was going to say, is the NyQuil mix the key to success for you in that number 17 machine?
Apparently, man, the Dayquil NyQuil mix is what seems to be making it work, I guess.
I think they call it lean where I'm from.
Yeah, they do call it that down south, that's for sure.
Well, Antonio, you've had a couple of seconds so far this season, one at Monza, one Silverstone, another podium. I was also at Monza, but it seemed like things just really worked out well for you. I mean, when so many drivers were fighting the front end field of the car, it seemed like you were just content clicking off laps, and very fast laps at that.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, most of my contention got taken out there. I know Ray got into Jaden there, which gave him some wing damage, and then Nick Beaver got into AJ there. So yeah, that pretty much was great for me. I can't lie. I'll take the ones we can get. I was pretty quick here on pace though. I think it would have been a fight for third for sure with these other guys. So we'll have to see how it goes in the feature, although they're starting pretty far back. But yeah, hoping we can make some good headway. Definitely helping me out with the point situation for sure in the battle there for best of the rest. So yeah, it's going to be close.
Now, starting on the top spot for this feature, does that give you a little bit of relief knowing there's going to be so many fast drivers towards the back of the field? It's going to take them longer to get up, and maybe your tires will be up to temp if they do catch up to you?
I can't lie. I'm not great on cold tires in a heavy car here. It's just really hard. Once it gets on low fuel, it's really well, which worked out for me great in qualifying. But I can't lie. Starting from first doesn't make it better because the dive bombs into turn, I think it's 3 there, whatever the hairpin corner is going to be a little sketchy. But yeah, we'll have to see. I got my teammate behind me, so I'm sure he'll get by me pretty quick. But hopefully we can just follow through with that and see how it goes.
Awesome, Antonio. We're looking forward to a great show. Great to have you up here in the top spot the first time this season. And before I let you go, get ready for this feature event. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
Shout out to my teammate, of course, as always. He didn't pressure me too hard there, so that was pretty kind of him there. But other than that, thanks as always for the broadcast. I'm not signing us off for the night, so I won't do anything too crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks everybody who showed up. Good time.
Awesome.
Thanks everybody who watches out there too. We love you.
We love them too, Antonio. Great job, buddy, and best of luck in the feature.
Thanks, James. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Yes, sir. That was Antonio Bianchi bringing it home in the top spot. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes with tonight's feature event. All right, race fans, welcome back. We had that brief intermission, and we're going to send them right back out for the feature event. And we're going to get a poll going over here on YouTube. So let us know in the YouTube chat. We've got a poll going over or under. Are we going to have more or less than 8 drivers finishing this feature event? I'm going to go with the over personally. As we're waiting for a few more drivers to get onto the grid, looks about 4 or 5 still waiting here. And I think there's going to be a lot of drivers looking for redemption after there was a lot of folks having to go home early in the sprint. Bianchi on that top spot. Your starting order for the feature depends on where you finish in the sprint. So you've got some fast guys. AJ Brenner, Jaden Calloway starting 17th and 18th in this one. That's going to be a lot of drivers they have to cut through to get to their normal running position. We got Dylan Waldron joining us over on the spectator side, cheering on Ryan Tebow. Tebow, one of those drivers, had a rough sprint. He's going to be starting 19th in the number 27. And it looks like right now the fans are split if it's going to be over or under 8 drivers finishing this thing. For those that missed it, carnage in the sprint race here at the French Grand Prix. I believe we had about 15 drivers finish the sprint, but at least 3 of those were a lap down, came down pit road for repairs. We're waiting on Aguilar, Zuhair, Morris, and Plunkett to set the grid here, as we've got some more votes coming in on the poll. And it looked like Bianchi takes a tow as well, or goes back to pit road briefly. This is odd. I wonder if there's some fuel numbers being looked at. Maybe those top 2, top 3 drivers are trying to save fuel. I mean, in theory, you can save a tiny bit by not sitting on pit road. It's Aguilar, Morris, and Plunkett who have yet to take the stage here. Looks like Aguilar was going to take the grid. Plunkett does not. So he's going to be starting from pit road or not starting at all here. As the lights go off and we send them out for the feature event. Already see some smoke in the back. It's always a frantic start in these Super Formula machines. Bianchi with the hole shot. He's got his teammate Aguilar in tow. And already I'm seeing some blinking going on. Who is that? That Willie Morris in the 46? That is a precarious spot to be in. Oh no, and something happened. I think that was netcode. Beaver has pulverized the car. I think that was netcode. Let's see what happened to Beaver there. So Morris is invisible right ahead of Beaver. And Morris just reappears in Beaver. And then Beaver can't get slowed down, rockets across the track. Chase Meyer, Nick Beaver both take a tow back to pit road. They'll be done and out of this one. Yeah, I think that was a crash I would blame squarely on netcode from my point of view up here in the booth. Focusing on Gareth McAllister, number 25 machine, but who does he have right behind him? The two teammates who are looking for redemption, AJ Brenner, Jaden Calloway in the opening lap, have both gained 11 positions just on the opening lap. So the number 80 of Brenner, the number 1 of Calloway on the ragged edge there. You can saw McAllister dip the wheel into the gravel. Now I'm going to be interested to see how this storyline develops. Right now, Brenner and Calloway about 5.5 seconds back from the race leader, Antonio Bianchi. And another big incident. Looked like Willie Morris, and I think that was Felipe Ramos. Might have been the instigators on that one. No, I think it's just going to be Morris, I think. And then kind of separate crashes to follow. And you can tell Morris was struggling to put the power down there. Brenner has made it 12 spots gained, moving up into 5th. McAllister tries to fight back. Jaden Calloway, the number 1 machine, I think he's going to be a little bit less aggressive than his teammate Brenner, as Calloway wants to defend that number 1 plate. McAllister trying to get back online. Tough to squeeze through that chicane when you're too wide. Zuhair in 3rd, clicks off the fastest lap of the race. Ooh, McAllister slicing all across the track there, trying to find a line against Brenner. McAllister very far off track. Looks like Calloway might get the spot here. You also see Michael Fairchild, the number 88 machine, getting up into the mix. A little bit of a lockup ahead of them. That was going to be... oh, that's going to be AJ Brenner with a big moment. Brenner falls back to 6th, right behind his teammate Calloway. McAllister still right here as well. And it looks like Michael Fairchild up in the fray. Oh, a blink from McAllister. Right as Brenner and McAllister were side by side, McAllister off track. He will fall back to 10th. That's going to put Brenner up into 6th. Calloway, though, now up 13 spots inside the top 5. Aguilar in 2nd, answers with the fastest lap of the race. Go up front. Antonio Bianchi has pressure from his teammate Aguilar. I don't think there's going to be any team orders in play here if Aguilar is able to get through, find an opening. I think he's going to shoot the gap and go for it. You can see Shazi Zuhair sitting in 3rd still. Zuhair about 1.5 seconds up over Delmas. Now I think if Aguilar in 2nd thinks that Bianchi can carry a good pace, might just follow along here. But since they are teammates, I think if Bianchi knows Aguilar is faster, he will quickly hop out of the way as Calloway sitting in 5th, up 13 spots. The first driver into the 119s here. McAllister, the world famous Aussie, has some sort of incident. It looks like it's going to be another solo incident. And McAllister pitches it around, and he will fall back to 15th. So Bianchi clicking off laps, a 6/10 advantage over his teammate, but we're very interested. Let's pan back to Callaway. There he is, boarding the number 1 machine, up 13 spots up into 5th. Callaway about 2.2 seconds back from Delmas. I would say it is not impossible for Callaway to mount a charge here tonight, but a whole lot of things have to go well for the defending champ to get back into the fray. Now coming into tonight, round 9 of the season, it was Ray Aguilar, your points leader. He has a 123-point advantage over Nick Beaver, who sits in 2nd. Jaden Callaway, the defending champ, currently in 3rd, but we've seen crazier comeback stories here at League Zero. As the two teammates briefly go side by side, Aguilar takes over the lead from Bianchi. Bianchi tucks right back in line. Oh, I heard somebody else having incidents. Oh my goodness, what happened to Bramley and Tebow there? Both drivers take a tow back to pit road. Let's focus in on Tebow in the 27. He's behind Bramley. No. Tebow just sent a man to the shadow realm. Absolutely pulverizing the number 6 of Bramley. So Tebow and Bramley both gonna take a tow back to pit road. Aguilar up front with clean air, clicks off the fastest lap of the race. Dylan Waldron heartbroken in the spectator area to see his favorite driver, Ryan Tebow, getting absolutely obliterated as he punted Jacob Bramley off the circuit. William Morris, Gareth McAllister having their own private battle for 10th. So we have whittled it down to 15 drivers still out on track. The votes are split over under if 8 drivers finish this thing. I will say for our first time at this circuit, it seems like those that have single car incidents, there's plenty of runoff to avoid most of the safety barriers. McAllister's going to take another swing at it for 10th, but he's had connection issues. You can see Mador, Cervone, Mayorga not too far behind this battle for 10th. There's McAllister with the trademark Australian internet giving him fits. Thankfully, he's got about 4/10 up over Morris and clean track ahead of him. Another off-track reported, Leo Delmas. Is he? No, he's off in the gravel. It doesn't look like any damage for Delmas. Looked like he just missed the mark and opted to stay straight. So unfortunately, Delmas is going to fall back to 8th here, looking for a clean place to rejoin, make it 9th. Now the top 3 is not going to change. It's still going to be Aguilar, Bianchi, and Zuhair, 1, 2, 3. Looks like Jaden Callaway starting to track down Zuhair here. So Callaway's about 1.3 seconds. And we've got Jacob Bramley join us in another area. Now Callaway and AJ Brenner are going to be the first drivers down pit road together. So this is interesting. Now the pit cycle starting off a little bit early. Historically, we see drivers kind of box around the halfway marker later. So Callaway now up into third. The top 6 drivers have yet to box. Leo Delmas looks like he may be coming down pit road. Leo Delmas crashed on the pit road? I'm not quite sure what happened there. It's interesting. It showed Delmas involved in an incident, but it looks like he was just hitting his pit stall. Okay, Small getting tracked down by Nick Peterson. Small takes that opportunity. He's going to come down pit road, but a big lock up there from Small. Hopefully he's not going to incur a pit road penalty with that one. That leaves the top 5 drivers up, out on track, yet to box. Also looks like about 8 through 12th place have yet to pit as well. So let's see what's going to happen here. Aguilar up front checking out. 2.9 seconds up over Bianchi. Now looks like Aguilar has fairly clean track ahead of him, as he's 2.6, 2.7 seconds up over his teammate Bianchi. You can see 14th and 15th out on circuit. Leo Delmas, Felipe Ramos, I'd call that about 10, 15 seconds ahead out on track. Looks like we still have 15 drivers out on track though, so it's looking good for the fans who are betting on the over here of drivers that finish this feature. Also looks like maybe a battle for 6th here. Jace Meyer letting us know Leo Delmas having, quite the issue. We've got Jace Meyer joining us in the spectator area saying that Delmas, his sim tabbed out in the middle of the race here, so that explains some of the shenanigans we saw out of the number 21 machine. Here trying to track down Peterson, about a half second separating the two. I appreciate the inside info we get from some of these drivers as well. I mean, especially Jace Meyer right then letting us know what was going on with Delmas and the technical issues. I've seen that plenty of times in the past, and tonight's been an odd one. We've had a weird blinking. We've had sim issues. Here's Shazi Zuhair in the sprint race. We saw big things out of the number 10 machine. Aguilar up front, dips into the minute 19s. Callaway answered with a 119.52, but still about a tenth faster than Aguilar's clicking off here. Zuhair's been getting a lot more consistent as the seasons progress, and look at the closing distance. Zuhair in way too deep there. Locks up the brakes to avoid getting to the back of Peterson. Hopefully Peterson wasn't looking at his rear view on that one, or it was going to be a white knuckle moment for certain. McAllister finds himself pointing the wrong way around. Takes that opportunity to come down pit road. Looks like Julian Madore came down pit road. I'm not sure if that was to avoid McAllister. There's Madore right behind. McAllister's going to lose it right in front of Julian. And Julian says, oh no. Was taken away around and then takes that opportunity to come down pit road, so able to salvage that incident a little bit there. And there goes Bianchi, who is running so strong in second, off track. Here comes Jaden Calloway. Calloway up into podium contention. He has yet to box, but he has caught up to the second place driver. Calloway needs every point he can get here to try and track down Aguilar by the end of the season. Calloway hard on the binders. The last thing he wants to do is get into the back of Bianchi. Calloway now up 15 positions. But as a reminder to the fan, Calloway and Brenner both gained 11 spots on the opening lap here in the feature. Now Aguilar up front, 5.8 seconds ahead of this battle for second. I wonder if Calloway is probably fairly confident that he's got a little bit better pace than Bianchi. I wonder if he goes for the undercut here, looking for some clean track. Bianchi and Calloway stay out. Bianchi's pulled about a 1.5 second gap over the defending champ. Calloway is very off pace there, 20.67. Aguilar and Bianchi both in the 19.7 second lap time range. We had another incident reported the lap prior. It's going to be Arturo Mayorga in the 55 machine. Runs in a little bit too deep and just runs out of asphalt, pirouetting around in that 55 machine. Meyer thinks that the Avanti team drivers looking for another first and second. During the sprint, it was Bianchi and Aguilar. The first time we've seen the teammates finish like that in quite a while. Now Aguilar wants his chance at the top spot. Jaden Calloway, we kind of predicted it, down pit road. I think he's going to try and get back out on circuit and just look for some clean air so he can hot lap here. Something has happened to Leo Dalmas. It showed briefly in an incident. He loses a spot to Willie Morris. Morris still blinking like crazy here. I wonder if this is Netco that's about to strike Dalmas. No, I think he just overcooked it on the brakes a little bit. But that's got to be a white knuckle moment for Dalmas, not knowing where Morris is going to reappear at. There's Peterson and Zuhair linked up in the battle for fifth. Something has happened though. Ray Aguilar, the current points leader, takes a tow back to pit road. Aguilar is done and out of it in the 72. What just happened? Oh no! Traffic stacks up ahead of him, and Aguilar gets pulverized from behind. I think that was McAllister. But who hit? Oh my goodness. So Aguilar was running so well, is going to be out of this feature event with a tow. That's going to leave just one Avanti driver, Antonio Bianchi. Jaden Calloway in second. Shazi Zuhair has moved up to third. Something is in the water here this season. We've had more rear end incidents than I've seen in any season past, I think. There's Antonio Bianchi trying to get rolling here. But I wonder, that was Felipe Ramos, I think, who was involved in that incident with Aguilar. Just wasn't able to slow down in time. So Bianchi's going to try and hammer out the laps of his life here to put a gap on the rest of the field. Callaway 22.8 seconds behind Bianchi, but Callaway's total pit lane time was about 27.9 seconds. They were nose to tail before Callaway came down pit road, so how is the pit cycle going to play a factor, and how is lap traffic going to play a factor? Bianchi has relatively clean track ahead of him. He's got Leo Delmas. Is going to be the next driver going a lap down as Delmas runs 9th. Bianchi looks to be gaining just a tiny bit of ground here over Callaway, but I am extremely interested to see how this pit cycle is going to play out. Let's pan back to Callaway, as I think he's battling a little bit with traffic. Can't tell if that was McAllister hopping out of the way. I think it was in the 25 machine, seeing the blue flag and not wanting to impede Callaway at all. Now we've got David join us in the spectator area asking if there's room for more drivers, and the answer is absolutely. League Zero free to join, free to enter, and a ton of fun to get out there each and every week. We're going to link that in the broadcast here. So we've got Bianchi still out front. Going to be a little while before Bianchi cuts into traffic. I wonder if he's going to take that opportunity to come down pit road. But Bianchi is increasing the gap in his favor as he clicked off the fastest lap of the race last time by a clean 1 minute 19.23. How long is Bianchi going to stay out for? It's going to be at least another lap for that number 17 machine. This is going to be really interesting. Bianchi, thankfully, having traffic hop out of his way here. But we've whittled it down to only 8 drivers on the lead lap. Still have 14 out on track circulating. 56% of our viewers saying it's going to be over on 8 drivers finishing this thing. And so far, they're right on the money, I think, with 10 laps left to go. Can Bianchi somehow make it back-to-back here? I'm looking through right now. I'm fairly certain it has only been Aguilar who has picked up back-to-back wins in one night. That was at both Long Beach and at Monza. Aguilar swept it both events in a row. I don't know if I've ever seen Bianchi do that. Jay Small involved in an incident. Looks like thankfully nobody else was involved, so that may be a solo incident for Small. Through the hairpin, does he lose on the throttle? Yes, he does, just pitches it around. So pulling up my notes here, from what I can see in the record book, Bianchi has never made it back-to-back wins in his League Zero career. And he's been running here since January 7th, 2021, so over 3 years of open wheel experience for Bianchi. And he has made it, so there's only 7 drivers currently on the lead lap. Now the rule here is you cannot pit the mandatory tire stop on the opening lap or the final lap. So it looks like Bianchi's on a strategy here to minimize the time spent on cold tires. As we've made it now 6 drivers left on the lead lap. And I don't want to hit him with a commentator's curse, but this is the most I've seen Bianchi really gelling with a car and track combo. He has been running such a clean race here this evening. And traffic does not seem to be a major factor for the lead lap drivers. Right now it's Bianchi, Callaway, Zuhair, your top 3. And Bianchi, the only driver left on the circuit that has yet to take the mandatory tires. Well, I wonder if his teammate Aguilar, who's on pit road's been there for 8 minutes and counting, is maybe doing a little bit of race engineering here. Trying to help his teammate out. Now Bianchi losing about 2/10 that last lap. Callaway's wicked it up a little bit here. Well, this is going to be really good to see how this shakes down after the pit stop. Now for the fans at home, Callaway was in and out of his pit stall 7.07 seconds. So Bianchi's going to want to try and match or beat that time spent in his pit stall. AJ Brenner starting to track down Shazi Zuhair for that 3rd place spot. It's within a half second for these two. Brenner squarely in the draft of Zuhair. Brenner's up 13 spots after having a very rough sprint. Looks like both drivers a little bit of a lockup there through the hairpin. Bianchi's going to stay out another lap here. Still holding on to about a 23.8 second advantage over Callaway. He clicked off a 119.45. Let's see what Callaway is going to answer with when he makes his way to the start-finish line. Callaway just now crossing the line. We wait for the ticker to update. A 119.22, so Callaway only getting faster here How is this going to play out after the pit cycle? Oh, a bit of a bobble there from Bianchi. I wonder if the tires are starting to fall off. We saw that back end kicking around, and that wasn't even with the push to pass applied here. Still 14 drivers out on the circuit, so the field's doing good. Bianchi down pit road, hard on the binders to avoid any sort of penalty. So let's pan over to Callaway. What is the pit cycle going to show here? Something weird has happened to Bianchi. No. As the great guys at Weezer said, say it ain't so. I think Bianchi might have had internet problems on pit road. I don't know what's happening here. The live timing is absolutely freaking out. It shows Bianchi as the race leader. And we have no idea what just happened on pit road. So, assuming the pit cycle went well for Bianchi, it was connection issues were all over the place. Comes out on track a second up over Callaway. And as Dylan Waldron pointed out, it's a weird night here at Magny Course, the French Grand Prix. I mean, we've had blinking, we've had rear end incidents. We've had McAllister finding himself pointing the wrong direction. Such an odd night for these racers. Now it's going to be a 4-lap shootout for Bianchi to try and pick up his first ever back-to-back win. Callaway's not going to make it easy, as he desperately needs the points to keep his championship alive. Callaway's got it within 0.3 of a second, right on the gearbox of Bianchi. Bianchi very briefly on the push to pass to try and keep up over Callaway. Callaway, though, is going to be unrelenting here in his charge towards first. He is already up 16 spots, and Callaway does have his teammate A.J. Brenner also in a podium contention spot. But Brenner, 13 seconds back from this battle for the lead. Here comes Callaway. He's going to take a look to the inside, not able to make it happen. Bianchi holds on to it, swings back to about a half second in his favor. These guys still have 4 more laps left here. But I think Bianchi's going to do everything he can to keep Callaway at bay. And what just happened? Bianchi's back down pit road. This might be the weirdest night of broadcasting we've ever had here at League Zero. Bianchi down pit road for a second stop. I'm wondering if those blinking issues gave him some sort of pit road penalty. Or was it just, I can't imagine he had a drive-through penalty. So Callaway now finds himself with almost a 13-second lead, and now his teammate A.J. Brenner has a shot at second place. What a very confusing evening. And Shazi Zuhair also catching up here, so we could very well, I couldn't have predicted it a lap ago, but we might have a 3-car battle for second place shaping up. There's Zuhair putting the pressure on Brenner. Brenner's had a great run overcoming the rough sprint race he has had and has put 14 positions back in his favor. And again, I can't reiterate it enough. Both Callaway and Brenner were both up 11 spots the opening lap. You can tell the pace is starting to back off a little bit here, as both Brenner and Zuhair were about 1.1, 1.2 seconds off their fastest lap of the race. Brenner especially a little bit off the pace from what he had been doing laps prior. Brenner pushes a little bit wide there, allowing Bianchi to keep his 1 second advantage. Zuhair about 1.1 seconds back from the third place driver. We've got just a couple short laps left to go here. Brenner starting to track back down. Antonio Bianchi running in second. Callaway a massive 13.3 second lead. And Callaway shows why he has that #1 plate. A 1:19.12, the fastest lap of the feature. Well done to the viewers who also voted that we were going to have over 8 drivers finishing this feature event. 55% were going to be spot on that one. Now, I am not too proud if we suddenly have the remaining part of the field crash out of this thing somehow with 2 laps left to go. I'll update that statement, but right now it's looking good with 14 drivers out on the track. 2 closest drivers, Antonio Bianchi, AJ Brenner, 6/10 separating these two in the battle for second. Zuhair has had big problems. He has fallen back about 4 seconds behind the rest of these drivers. Is Zuhair fuel saving, I wonder? It sure sounds like Zuhair is short shifting very heavily. I wonder if Zuhair is going to be short on fuel here. We're on the white flag lap. Callaway has that 14-second advantage. Bianchi pushes wide. Here comes AJ Brenner up the inside line. Brenner takes over second. We had Avanti picking up the sprint race first and second. But now the Squid Gang Racing drivers wanting to return the favor. Less than a half a lap left to go here for Callaway. And it looks like... What happened to Bianchi? Is Bianchi out of gas? This is, again, the oddest night I've ever broadcasted. I think Bianchi might be out of fuel. So right now, it's Jaden Callaway coming to the line. Callaway's going to pick up the win completely uncontested. Callaway with the win. It's looking like Brenner's going to get second. What is happening tonight? AJ Brenner will get second. And we still have a battle for third. It's going to be a slow race for third. Jazzy Zuhair trying to hold on to it, but he's got Fairchild right behind him. And Jazzy Zuhair finds himself back on the podium. What an absolutely crazy evening here. Definitely one of the oddest races I've ever called here at League Zero. So we're waiting on Shazi Zuhair, then we're going to get these podium interviews started here tonight. Now, I did just think of something that Antonio Bianchi pointed out to the drivers. This is going to be the last leap year that falls on a Thursday for 50 more years. So I guess this is like the Friday the 13th for open wheel racers. And what has definitely been the oddest open wheel race I've ever called up here in the booth. So let's get things started with Mr. Shazi Zuhair. Join us in the number 10 machine. Shazi, it started off strong in the sprint race. It was a bit of a roller coaster in the feature, but find yourself up here with back-to-back podiums here at the French Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, the last race there, my teammate could have had the podium as well, but he was being nice and let me have it. So appreciate that from him. And he had a really good result as well. So congrats to him.
Now, Shazi, did that race go cleaner than you were expecting, or was that about what you were thinking was going to happen in this feature?
I think personally it could have gone a tiny bit better. Like I had a couple slowdowns going through one of the corners there in the same spot like a couple times. So I made some mistakes on my end, but kind of what I expected. But I think we could have done a tiny bit better on fuel saving and also pace wise.
Well, it seemed like it was a lot of fun for you guys. And speaking of fuel saving, did you have anything left in the tank there at the end?
Well, with 2 laps to go, like I didn't have that much fuel left, so I was basically coasting around. My teammate was following behind. Kind of feel bad for him, but it was nice of him to let me get that podium. But yeah, I think other people were having issues with fuel saving as well.
Well, good to have you back up here, back-to-back podiums. Your teammate right behind you. A good result all the way around for you guys. Before I let you go, unwind and maybe try and borrow some gas from somebody to get the car back in the hauler. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you here tonight?
As always, my wife and my cat, and then a special one this time to my teammate. It was really good effort by both of us and good points for the team as well.
Awesome. Shazi, always a pleasure, my friend. Good to have you up here, and hope to have you back up here in the remaining rounds as well.
Likewise, I hope so as well. Thanks, James.
You as well, sir. That was Shazi Zuhair bringing it home. And third, up next, we've got Mr. AJ Brenner joining us in the second place spot. AJ, roller coaster of a night, a dismal sprint race that ended entirely too early, a feature event where it looked like you're going to be battling for third. Now it's suddenly a shootout for second, followed by everybody rocking and forth back in their cockpits to make it across the line.
Yeah, I did not expect to get back up to the front. I mean, we were thinking about the fuel, and then about halfway through, we realized we were real tight on the fuel window, so we were all lifting and coasting as much as possible, but I guess Antonio didn't get that message.
Yeah, I was super confused up here in the booth to suddenly see the number 17 machine dropping like a stone, and I'm sure you and Callaway both had to be ecstatic with that, a 1-2 finish for you and your teammate.
Yeah, we both had a great launch at the start, got us into a good position, and we both went for the undercut, and ended up putting us in a good spot at the end, and we're both pretty happy about this one.
Now, AJ, did you and Jayden realize that opening lap you both had gained 11 positions?
Yeah, I saw him in like my left side, and I realized it was him, and we were both going around every car, and we just made up at least 8 or so on the start. So it was great, and we were just kind of flying back up together.
Well, it looked like a ton of fun, AJ. Good to have you back up here. Good to see those 2 top steps swept by your teammate. Say that 3 times fast. But before I let you go and celebrate with Jayden, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
Just give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing, Jayden and Fabian. Good guys.
Awesome. Hey, good to have you back up here, AJ. Congratulations again on a very well-earned second, and hope to see you do it again in the next few rounds.
Thanks, James.
That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in second. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Jayden Callaway. Welcome back to the top spot. We've said it several times this season. You either have bad luck or great luck, and it seemed like the pendulum was swinging both ways here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. The sprint didn't go so well out on lap 1, but AJ and I managed to make a really good recovery in the feature, so we're both happy.
Now, what were you thinking when you saw, Antonio Bianchi joined the track after his pit stop about a second and a half, and then the next lap, you see him back down pit road. Were you as confused as the rest of us?
Yeah. I knew something probably had happened, but I was expecting to have to battle him and fight him, and I thought we were gonna have a good fight. But then he pulled into the pits. But I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, a commanding, almost a 20-second gap. This is throwbacks to season past where we've seen you that far out the front. Now, it seems like it's still a very tough season for you, but you've always had such a good attitude. So how much of a relief is it here tonight to be able to capitalize on a rough sprint and still finish the feature on top?
Yeah, it feels really, really good. Of course, I'd like to have gotten a better result in the sprint, but winning the feature definitely made up for it. So I'm happy.
Well, it's super cool to have you back up here now. We've got a Canadian Grand Prix. We're going to the Hungaroring, Hockenheimring. We're going to Coda. We're going to Spa. Any of those tracks you're particularly pumped about for later in this season?
Coda for sure. AJ and I are both really, really excited for that one.
Well, that's going to be super fun to watch back on home territory. Jaden, super cool to have you back in the top spot. And no stranger to this part, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make it happen for you?
Yeah, as always, I'm going to shout out my friends and family watching and supporting. I'm going to shout out my team, Squid Gang Racing, and my teammates, AJ and Fabian.
Awesome. Jaden, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you, and hope to have you back up here in those remaining rounds as well.
Thank you.
That was Jaden Calloway finishing in the top spot. He was accompanied by his teammate AJ Brenner in second and Shazi Zuhair making it back-to-back third-place finishes tonight at the French Grand Prix. On behalf of the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League, my name has been James East. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday night with us, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.